it's recording.
And we're recording. All right. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing as good as always.
So, thank you for joining us for Voice Podcast. Today, we have our guest, Denny, a very good friend of mine from the AMC program. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure, brother, for sure. Denny, we're just kind of going around to talking to a bunch of students within the school to see how they're holding up. I guess the first big question, man, how's this been affecting you?
It's just making me more anxious in some way.
Sure.
And technically, I miss school.
Yeah. And especially just interacting with people in the school, right?
I know, just the whole fact that coming to school and then just attending classes, I never thought I'd miss it, but I'm starting to miss that.
It's the routine, I think, that I miss the most, because it's like, you wake up, you get ready, you go to school, and it's like, okay, at this time I go to class. And then at this time I have lunch. At this time I work on my assignments and I see all my friends and we get to hang out. And now it's just like, what time is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can do something,
Yeah, it's forced ourselves to create our own, be on our own with the schedule, right? Because, as before, we were sort of, we were at liberty to go to class, because we were held accountable for that. And now we're kind of on our own. Like, we don't have to go to a physical place. So, I think for me, some of these online classes have been really helping, like just sort of like these online, they're calling it check-ins, right? Like it's our usual class time where we sit down at our desk or at our couch or in our bed or whatever that makes you feel comfortable. And then we can go to that class and at least have somewhat of a chat with people.
Yeah, that's true.
So Denny, have you been able to connect with a lot of people during this time?
For right now, since I go to work, I've not laid off. I still work at Home Depot because it's considered as an essential.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who come up. So, you talk to a lot of customers, but then you come back home and then, like Danny said, there's no routine. Before, it's like you'll have to sleep at 10, 11, 12. But right now, I don't think so. You have to sleep at a certain time to get up in the morning or something.
Because there's nothing going on in the morning. Yeah. Well, I mean, you still work, but for me, it's like I can go to bed whenever I want because the next day is just the same day.
Not Sunday or a Monday, I guess. I don't know.
Someone put this to me and it might have been you, Danny. It might have been somebody, but every day is a Sunday. It seems like, kind of because it's kind of like, and we talked about this on our first podcast where it's like, it's like, you're kind of hanging out and you're kind of a little anxious for the next day. You got those Monday scaries and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's Monday.
But it's Monday. Yeah. it's a terrible Groundhog's Day. It's like, every day is just the same and it's rough. But, I'm sure that there are some good things that come out of this self-isolation, these
100%
quarantines. Denny, is there anything that you've that you like about the quarantine?
One thing that I would have liked is if I had my family around.
Yeah.
I connect more with them. But then right now, there is a whole bonding with roommates. There is a lot happening, we cook together, or else it's like everyone has their own time, like class or work. But right now, since everyone's home, we cook a lot of food together. I mean, that's nice. So I'm not feeling really isolated.
Right. So you're not alone. You're not. So how many roommates are you living with?
I have 5 people.
Oh, that's great.
It's a big house.
Yeah. So at least you do have some company and you guys are kind of in it together a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's definitely kind of like the way I see it is like, this will be a moment that all 5 of you will remember for the rest of your lives.
That's right.
What's happening, right?
Yeah, but you have to, because it's like, you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. It's nothing left to do. But but cook and hang out, you know. So I was talking to someone else on the podcast, and they were talking about the same thing, that it's like they are cooking with their family and their friends, the people that are in their house with them. So is that something that you think that it's just like traditional, you know, it's kind of like communal cooking, something like that, and then maybe it's just kind of like you're bringing it back to the roots?
I would just say like cooking together is always like a wonderful thing. Like, I mean, I would say eating is a wonderful thing in the first
Yeah.
place. But then bringing out to the roots is like, so how my tradition or my culture is like, we all eat together. So in that part, it'll be like my grandma, my mom, my dad, they'll be like all in the kitchen, like cooking together.
Right.
And then we'll have like a whole feast because we live together.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of families, like my dad's brother, their family, we all like mostly used to like live together at one particular point because it's like a culture. So cooking together, like Danny said, is always a tradition for me, like as a family.
Well,
But
that's
then
great. And it's that's a perfect way to put it, that you guys have that kind of bonding moment of like, it's sort of like you're working towards something,
Yeah.
and like it's you know, you got to eat, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, and of course, like, you know, and if you're cooking all the meals that you're used to cooking, or you're coming up with new experimental stuff with different people, then I think that makes for a bit of a kind of a cool adventure for you. So kind of going back, because you're talking about obviously you're saying that this would be much better if you were at home, and probably with your family. So how has this affected you, since, you know, you're not from Canada, and you're kind of far away from home right now? How has that aspect affected you from this whole thing?
Okay. So for one thing, since it's like a global thing, it's around everywhere. Like my parents are not in India; they're in Saudi Arabia, and I have my whole family, like my grandmom, my sister, their families back in India, and I'm in Canada. So it's kind of the same. Like we all are locked down in different places.
Yeah.
And pretty much going through the same thing of having like locked. Pretty much India has like more strict rules, I would say, because we have a lot of people there. So there is a rule that you should not get out unless it's essential. So you get a fine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that you're in Canada and your family is, well, you know, around the world in different countries also. What similarities have you found that you know, are put in place? What kind of like restrictions are put in place that are similar, some that are different that you think?
The one big thing that I would say is like where my mom and dad is, like Saudi Arabia or India, there is a lot of restrictions on the people. Like they have like a warning that you should not get out. Whereas in Canada, even though they do have like a lot of lockdown, like just get out for essential, I'm pretty sure nobody's forced to sit home. Like it's not like you would get like a big fine or something, or it's not a big trouble, because I feel like Canada gives a lot of importance in mental health of people. Like, they don't want someone to like sit home, maybe just go for a walk or something so that your mind is refreshed.
Yeah.
Not say that that's the same case in the other countries, but then it's more harder for them to control, so you can't blame them either.
So is some of your family getting fined if they do go out in Saudi Arabia or in India?
I would say that for right now, the time that they can go out is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Oh, so they have a curfew.
Yeah, so you can't, like, there's no, like, you can't just get out after that, because you have to have like a very essential reason for that, or else you can't get out. And I heard that they might reduce the time from 6 a.m. to like 3 p.m.
Wow. Interesting. Because so I have a bit of a different thought on that. Do you guys think that like making curfews is important? Because wouldn't that sort of restrict of when everybody's going out? Like, you have 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then you're going to have a horde of people just going out at the same time. Whereas if you don't have that curfew, you might have people going out at night and kind of spreading out that time that people might go outside. But maybe having it all 24 hours is also pretty risky.
See, I'm against curfews and I'm against martial law and I'm against, kind of like these fines and all those things. I don't think that's right. It's a very slippery slope when you give the police that much power. But I do agree that there should be something, it's like I just feel like it should be more in the sense of education, you know what I mean, than restriction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough, it's hard, you can't
It's hard, Danny. Like,
exactly.
yeah. The only thing that I would say is, like, we are all humans. So it until a disaster or a problem comes right out, like very close to us, we don't get scared. So same thing, like if we didn't have any cases in like our city, we would not take things seriously. So I just feel like it's better to like restrict. Like in countries like in India, since you have a lot of people, it's so hard to control. But then the perspective what Reed had on, if you keep like a timeline, then everyone's gonna get out at that time. So there's a lot of people coming out, and then there's no one coming out. So I never thought about that way. But then Reed, yeah, you have a good point, buddy. I never.
Well, I mean, there's so many things to think about, right? Like, I mean, I think one of these things is, and we're all kind of like, I think a lot of people can put blame on governments and they can kind of criticize of what they're doing, but in a sense that, like, we're all human in this, and we're all like, we're all going through this at the same time. Like, this has sort of put us everybody at a
Yeah.
level playing field for how everyone's dealing with this. So in terms of like, criticizing the government of what they're doing, I mean, they're doing the best that they can, right?
Yeah.
So if they think a curfew is the best call, then you have to see the logic and what our leaders are going through, right? So I think that's a way to think about it.
Like in my country, like back in my city especially, uh, before I was coming, we had another virus attack which is called like Nipah virus that was in my city, and it was just in my city, and it was a deadly one. Like the death rate was like, the mortality percentage was like 95%. So
Oh,
there was
wow.
only
Oh,
like
my God.
5% of survival, and the city was going through that, and because all the measures that the city took, and like a good healthcare plan that they made out, and like main thing that they do is tracking down the source and how much spread it is, and having like a whole system they could recover from that. And like, I guess 20 or 30 people got affected, but then somewhat like 10 of them survived,
Oh, wow.
and it didn't
Yeah.
spread a lot, so that was good. And the same thing that's happening right now also, like even though we do have a lot of cases because a lot of people go out, like for working, like to different other countries, and they come back and they stay isolated. So the city keeps a track on who all comes back to the city, like from Dubai or any other country, and then they are like they're advised to be isolated. So they are from picked up from the airport, and they're directly um, escorted to like what do you say, like a isolation ward, and then
Okay.
they're staying there for like some days until they're like clear that
So then
were
they've
fired.
had these all pre-set up for something like this then.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well,
So-
that's and I think we're obviously going to see a lot more of that. So on a lighter note, Denny, what have you been watching? Like, have you been reading any books? Have you been, are you watching Tiger King?
Tiger
I'm kidding.
King.
God, everyone's watching. It's all Cal Baskin's fault, I guess.
So I'm on episode Trey, so please no spoilers.
Yeah,
Well, it's all spoiled. He's in
I
jail.
watched the whole thing, so
By the time this comes out, I'm sure that everyone will have watched it, but we're not here for spoiler alerts. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, are you doing anything to fight that boredom?
you know what? Like before, I didn't expect it, but then it was like a very childhood thing for me to buy a PS2, and I never had a PS ever in my life. I was a kid where I go to my friend's place and I play, and then since I work now, I have a little savings. I somehow bought like a PS3, which is actually benefiting me right now.
Sorry, so you went out during this whole thing and you bought a PlayStation 2, or you bought a
I didn't do it right now. I just I bought it like before this whole virus thing came on.
Right. Okay. So what made you want to buy that as opposed to like getting like a PS4?
A PS4.
The money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I guess, and that's the thing. Like any game system right now is good stuff for you. What are you playing on it?
GTA 5.
Oh, perfect. Nice. Yeah.
What is that?
GTA 5. So he's got the PS3.
On the 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the
Oh,
screen,
that's
right?
right. You
Because
can
it
play
came out. It
GTA
came out
5.
when the PS3 was just ending, and the
Yep.
PS4 was just beginning. So
That's
it's
right.
actually on both consoles.
It's more like it works, but it doesn't have the high graphics.
Right.
But it's still the same thing.
It was the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's not bad.
Good.
Yeah. Are you reading any books at all, Denny?
You remember I got like a graphic design book which is called like Designing Brand Identity.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Did you get that from the college?
Yeah, I did.
You got to return it.
No, it was like you remember like our graphic design professor?
Yep.
He gave it to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was like, you can read it, but then since we didn't go back to college, I don't know when to give him back.
That's yours now.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's completely forgotten about it if he hasn't watched this or anything. Like, I think worried about it in the graphic design book,
He wants that back. He needs his brand identities.
So tell me how you're balancing being at work right now then. How's that going? Are your hours decreased or your hours increased? What's happening at Home Depot?
So how Home Depot is doing a big change is that they don't want any associates to leave have less hours. So the store is only open till 6, but then if you're scheduled in till like 10, you can stay there and you can sanitize, pack down goods so that you don't lose hours.
That's good.
It's a crucial time, right? Because if you don't even have money, you can't survive at this time.
Right.
So they don't want that to happen. So they're keeping the store open, but then only customers can come until like 6. But then you have to like sanitize, clean up the whole place.
So what are there any measures that Home Depot has taken or has taken to keep you safe?
Yeah, so they do have like they provide gloves and masks. The other thing is that you have a lot of cleaning kits in our departments, and the other thing is that we do keep like 6 feet distance, and it's everywhere. Like you see the whole store, you can see like keep 6 feet, keep 6 feet, keep 6 feet, and then before when you talk to your customer, you have like you don't like technically right now they have like a line or something, and then the customer has to stand there, and then you have to stand a little far and then talk to them. So yeah.
Well, it's good that they're taking that kind of precautions and everything, right?
Exactly.
So, Denny, have you been able to get a lot of assistance through the college? What's your communication been like through college administrators and maybe even the international office?
So the main challenge right now for me is I need to do my placement. So I'm actually trying to find a placement which I can like work from home.
Right.
Because if I don't I need to graduate at the right time, or else my study permit is like ending in December.
Okay.
So
so yeah, that's important too.
I'll have to finish off my placement so I can graduate. And for right now, I'm applying for placements, and I'm just waiting to see like how it turns out. And I can't blame anyone because it's not the right time, but then I'm stuck too.
Right. So are you? I mean, possibly. Hopefully, I mean, who knows what this timeline is, but like maybe for something in the summer, like online summer work, I guess, or just online work whenever you can, like a start date, I guess, whenever you can.
Whenever now, right?
And then since it's marketing and most of our works can be mostly done from home, there are a lot of things that you can do from like, even if I'm doing something like designing,
right,
I can easily do stuff from home. So it's not that hard.
Are you getting assistance from the college to help you find and to give you leads on what you could apply for?
Yeah. So Kathy is like checking on me, asking me if like how did you get a reply, or like she's suggesting me certain places that I can apply for.
That's great.
So I am doing my work. Yeah. And the fact that you have like an online class and all that is actually helping a lot.
Yeah.
I would say.
Okay.
How have you been doing on your schoolwork? You've been keeping up?
The only thing that I really have to like find is the motivation to do everything.
Yeah.
Yes. But then, yeah, for till right now, everything is all set. Like I've completed all my assignments. It's a big
That's
thing.
good.
That's good. And have you been able to get out for, like walks and stuff and kind of get outdoors and maybe go for a run, enjoy the beautiful weather that we're having right now?
I do meet my girlfriend like once in a week,
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, at
just
least,
for a walk.
Yeah, well, you got to at least get out and walk and, not just go outside to go to work, but like go outside and actually enjoy the outside.
Just for a walk, I would say.
Exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
keep a distance. Like we all have like sense to like know how to keep a distance from people and take care. Wash hands, I guess. Wash hands.
Mhm.
Yeah. And how's morale with your family, Denny? Is everyone kind of keeping good spirits despite everything?
I would say that my mom's been calling me like every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it happens, right?
So yeah, she'll be like, "What's up?" And I'm like, stuck at home. I might go to work and then come back, and then the next day same thing. Like, "What's up?" So what are you making? So
Right.
I like the fact that they do keep checking on me, but then I don't have anything like really exciting stuff to tell them.
No one does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like Danny and I just got on this call, and it was sort of like, how's it going? Same thing as you asked me yesterday.
Yeah. Just sitting at home, Yeah.
Wait. So what are you guys doing? Like, what's up with any hobbies? Did you guys like find some hobby to do? Like, did you learn something new to do?
This is what we've been kind of doing as far as extracurricular. Um, I'm thinking of like picking up like maybe something to do with my hands. I have an instrument that I practice,
That's good. What is it? What is it?
the saxophone.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's nice. What about you, Reed?
Well, so I feel like I'm in the weeds right now. Since I've got the schoolwork that we're all doing as one thing, but I'm still doing my placement right now, and that's something that I'm going to continue on with this sort of voluntarily after placement is sort of finished. Like I've pretty much finished all my hours and everything, so I'm still kind of just doing it just for the sake of a passion project.
That's
Yeah. But I have a grant due in a couple weeks that I'm writing. So that's kept me very busy on top of all the schoolwork that I'm doing. So the way I see it is I was going to be isolating anyway, whether, COVID-19 or not, so this kind of like helps me hunker down and kind of get that work done. It hasn't given me a lot of time to be too creative. I think that, but the nice creative outlet that I have right now is doing this, as Danny said,
that's good.
and talking to you, Denny, and like just sort of other people, and just sort of connecting with anybody I can. Like I've been talking to my friends so much lately. I find like and more so, and my family more so than I have in the past few months.
That's nice.
So
Do you
That's
miss your
good.
band? Do you miss your band? Like playing
well,
live?
so that's sort of the tricky thing, right? So you're seeing a lot of musicians today do a lot of live streams. But even when you hear the bands doing live streams, you're not seeing the full band itself. Like you're seeing like one person or one or two people from that band do a live stream because given the situation, we're not going to be able to put a group in a room together, and ourselves, we're an 8-piece, so like it's actually literally not allowed for us to get together, right? So
Yeah.
I think I want to, after all my work is kind of blown over, I want to come up with different ways to be creative. But honestly, it's not even something I'm thinking about right now. Obviously, it's a big bummer that some of my gigs got canceled this summer. Who knows what the future holds though. And and the way I see it, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. So again,
I would say that.
we're all facing a lot of hardships right now, and my problem isn't any more greater than the others. So I'm just happy. I think I'm just lucky that we're all able to do this, right? Like three of us connect, talk, and kind of support each other.
Yeah, I would say like at least we're like have. I guess I'm like happy for the fact that you even have like a place to stay and then like eat like proper food and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think again, like going back to like you're in a house with 5 people, right? So like I think that is pretty awesome that you're able to kind of have a community,
someone to talk to. Yeah, community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You got your own little world down there, so that's awesome. Perfect. Danny, do you have anything do you want to add at all?
I just want to, Denny, it's been really good to talk to you. Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Miss you guys, man. I really miss that.
I miss all you guys, and maybe we should get, some people together from the class or something and do some sort of Zoom fun night. I don't know.
Yeah, do we have like some game that you can play? I don't know.
We can play cards. Some sort of board game or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
But it's like that's an important thing too, is it's like keep in touch with your classmates and your teachers and your friends and your family, and
Exactly.
do whatever you need to do, stay social, stay fun, stay happy, stay sane,
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Denny, we're all here for you, man. Like, we're all here for each other, right? So like if you're ever feeling a little lonely, ever feeling unmotivated, I think that's the big thing. If people are feeling unmotivated, give us a call.
Reach out. Yeah.
Reach out. Like, we're here for the platform of all students in the college. And we want to make sure that we can connect you to the right people. And the administration is there for you, more importantly, right? Like
exactly.
They are wanting to make sure that they can help as many students as possible. So, beyond placement, Denny, there's all sorts of like help that you can get, and everyone can get to kind of just, at least even just, shoot the shit if they wanted to.
Exactly.
Like I do get like emails from international office, like checking on like there's like what's happening and all that stuff. So it's good.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, they're staying on top of their things. I'm getting emails from them too, and to make sure that everything's good. They have I think it's weekly meetings, to touch base with all the international students. So they are definitely doing their part, doing what they can to help international students for sure.
I would say that like at least I've been here for more than a year. But then I was just wondering if anyone who came like in a Jan intake or something who's like very new to this place.
Yeah, so I've reached out to some people some of my Mexican friends, and some of them have left, some of them have stayed, but it's the same thing about some of them are in the same placement boat, but it's like, because our program I feel is really good in the sense of like getting us to go out there or helping us out. Different programs have different protocols, and they're doing what they're doing and what they think to be the best thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's a difficult situation. It's tough. Things are tough all over.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out too, Denny, like I found it interesting. The first thing that came to mind when you were talking about how your family is sort of all across the world. And I was talking to my uncle today, and we were talking about how literally pretty much every single one of our family members is self-isolating on their own, right?
Yeah.
So like we have
everybody, right? Everyone in the whole world, I guess, technically.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I've got like 15 different people in my family that are pretty much broken into groups of like 10 that are like separated. And, all my friends are home right now. Like all my friends from high school are home. And like, all these people that I know have just decided to come home. And it's the same thing. Like I can't physically see them, but I'm able to connect with them like a little bit more. Right. So I think if you're ever feeling like, you're far away from home, you're
a Zoom call away.
You're a Zoom call away. You're as close by as everyone else.
Zoom as a whole brand would be benefiting this, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's without Zoom, I don't think self-isolation would work as well without technology. I feel like also it's like the technology has brought us, a lot of people have all the last few years is like technology is bringing us apart, it's like everyone's just on their devices and all this and all that. It's like, well, it's like it took COVID-19 to make technology bring us all together. It's because it's like now
there's a silver lining to this whole thing of like there's sort of like this sort of harmony, synchronization of how we can all stay connected, like, and just imagining what it's going to be like when we can, all be close together again,
Yeah, I would say that. So like, if I ask a question like Danny or Landry, like, what's the first thing that you want to do after this whole self like isolation thing? Like
I
imagine
want
like
to go to a restaurant. I want to go to a bar.
and like order stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk to somebody. I want to give people hugs and high fives and you know,
Are you going to be like skeptical, thinking like,
absolutely.
I don't know if this is over here?
Well,
No, absolutely. Until I get a vaccine in my arm and everyone else gets a vaccine, I am not, I'm going to take up some like, I don't know, Air Fives. I'm going to bow. I'm going to do something, but it's like no more touching
right?
until I get a vaccine.
Yeah. The way, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely going to be a slow decline or a slow incline, sorry, for sure, of how we get back to, that celebration portion. But I'm picturing, the next big concert,
Yeah.
and benefit concert the amount of benefit concerts that are going to happen, this is going to be insane.
Insane.
And I think that's going to be a wonderful thing to see. You're going to see all sorts of musicians and all sort of artists like coming together and doing something. That's my vision. And then like just with so many people watching that, because I think after a while it'll be like, I was listening to a podcast and they're like, oh, I think I'm going to go out tonight. What do you think? It's like, no, I think I'm going to stay in. You're not going to hear that anymore. Like, you're not going to,
no.
Like after this, like there's no more, I'm staying in tonight. It's like, let's
go do something.
Yeah, I would say that.
So again, silver line and everything.
Most definitely. But, and you can still self-isolate and be outside. You can still go fishing. I wonder, can you still go fishing?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you can still go fishing, ride your bike and do things like that. I feel like it's going to be a really good time for people to be like self-aware, It's like, I'm going to go, spend some time by myself. It's like, think about what's going on and, I don't know, some self-enlightenment, I feel is going to come out of this.
Absolutely. And that's the thing to look forward to is like the self-enlightenment. Don't think about the negative. Don't think about all like, and it's easy to don't think about the numbers that are happening right now. Don't think about like the after effects of a lot of things. Let's not even get into it. You know what I mean? Like that could be a whole other conversation for another day. But I think it's sort of like always think about like the positive outcomes that are going to come out of this.
Exactly.
That should try to overwhelm the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, this has been a great conversation.
It has. I love it. It's been great.
Yeah.
Denny, where can people find you, follow you?
Like in Instagram?
Yeah, like what are your social medias? Where can people come follow you, see what you're doing?
I really need to like start working on that thing. Like I do have like a profile which is all about graphic design called like Sculpture of Imagination. A lot of people make fun of that name, but then
who I don't know who. That's a really cool name.
No one makes fun of that name,
and
no one makes fun of your work because just so everyone knows, Denny is an amazing graphic designer.
Amazing,
and it's sort of like Denny is sort of the staple of our program. That if you do need graphic design work done, our lesson has been hire Denny.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Denny is fantastically talented. He is great, fantastic graphic designer.
Yeah. Well,
I just love doing it. I would say that I'm not good at it, but then I love doing it. So stuff like that. Like I don't know, like just love doing it.
Absolutely, man. When we love seeing it. So thanks for coming on, man, and thanks for
having
sharing your perspective, and we hope we hope you made your day and spread the word, man, of people that need to reach out. Even your housemates or anybody that you know. We're here for everyone.
I would say that you guys are doing like a really good job on checking out like people and just asking how they're doing. I mean, having the whole podcast is like really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we're trying to do, trying to just stay connected, keep people informed and, have some fun and remember that there are good things. It's not all just negative and stuck in your house.
Maybe next time when we like talk, maybe you'll be like, you would have seen the whole Tiger King show, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the next one, we'll just talk all Tiger King.
Tiger King episode.
Like there'll be like a lot of conspiracies we can come out with.
You got to put spoiler in the title.
Yeah. This will be the spoiler episode.
All right. Well, thanks, fellas.
No problem. Thanks for everything, guys.
Take care.